Hi, everybody, and welcome to today's Cosmic Chat with Debbie Sugarbaker. I am so excited to be here with you this morning, this afternoon, this evening, wherever you are on the planet. And it is my true honor that I'm going to have a very special guest here, Lorie, who is a spiritual thought leader and an author. Actually, her book, The Divine Design, just came out yesterday. So I'm so excited to bring her onto the Cosmic Chats, and we're gonna just discuss a plethora of deep concepts, and already I just spoke with her, transmit a beautiful energy that can boost your life and give you different insights on how you can move through whatever may be challenging you. So I'm gonna add Lorie and we're gonna get started right away. Thank you so much to everybody who is joining. Let me see. She should be on any moment. Hi, Lorie. Yes.
Hi.
It's so wonderful to connect with you on
It's
this
good to be
chat.
here.
I know that your book, I mean, we'll get to it, but it's really interesting because right now, I wasn't planning on this when you and I decided to have this chat, but I'm actually in Jerusalem, which some people consider kind of like a big energy portal for the world. It contains the holiest sites for the three major religions and a lot of other religions. So there's just a lot of spiritual energy, and I find it very interesting that we're connecting, and it was totally unplanned that I'm here.
I know we didn't plan on, hey, let's do it around your book launch. It just so happened that it's the day after, so I love how it all works out. If we let go of control, right? The universe always kind of shows us, like, the divine perfection of it all. So yeah, and Jerusalem is a powerful place on the planet. And I think it's reactivating, kind of recharging almost its energies as it's designed
Yes,
to, you know?
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, there's a lot that happened on that
A lot
land,
here and
thousands.
a lot of hard energy, yeah. So
Yeah.
as I mentioned, most people, you probably know Lorie. Lorie is a spiritual thought leader and an author, and she also has a Patreon group and an online community and an upcoming retreat, which I'll mention at the end of the interview. But why don't we just get started?
Yay. Okay. I'm ready. I'm excited. Let's,
So, um, Lorie, how did you get into, one of the questions that I always like to ask people who come on the Cosmic Chats is, how did you get into your work? Because usually the people that I interview, they're channels, they're healers, even doctors, functional medicine doctors, people who are thinking about things differently, business leaders who are thinking about things differently. Everybody that I've spoken to, and this is true probably for most human beings, there's something that happens maybe when you were a child, or did you have a knowing that anything about your path, your role in this world as this spiritual catalyst?
yeah, when I was, I guess probably around 12 or 13, I started to have this awareness or this knowingness that I had a purpose on this mission, on this planet. Like, I was here to assist humanity in what we called back then, or what I called back then, this ascension process, this elevation, this movement from lower states of consciousness to higher states of consciousness. I knew that I would be literally assisting humans, like holding their hands and walking them through this. But I didn't know really what that meant. I didn't know what it would look like. I didn't know how. There wasn't specifics around it. I just knew that I would be kind of like either physically or energetically holding people's hands, walking them through what to me back then was like really devastating times. Like when I was 13, I remember kind of being shown that there would be like really intense cataclysmic events happening on the planet, that it would be chaotic, that it would be uh, a lot of chaos, that people would be quote unquote leaving the planet. And so there were these underlying kind of um, descriptions that were shown to me of how this would look. But I was 13 and I was like, I just want to be a kid. And like, I don't like, this is too much. And
Wow.
so for most of my life, I was very, very aware of what we were in and what this journey is all about, what this planetary existence is all about. I was aware of everything, but I didn't want to commit because I knew that if I committed to my work, if I consciously was like, it's go time, let's go, my whole life would change. So I waited until, I was 40. And that's when I kind of committed. I finally did this like actual like commitment ceremony and stood on this mountaintop and was like, all right, I'm all in. I say yes to everything. I'm ready. And I went home after that, and that's really when the channeling started, the connection to like higher dimensional realms. Um, Everything just started to unravel. I was shown speaking to millions of people all over the world. I always get shown these visions or these pictures. Um, but it was a knowingness. It was like I knew that this was what I was going to do. I didn't know I'd be writing this book. So everything was sort of, I never controlled any of it. I just said yes and show me. Yes, show me. Yes, show me. And that's how everything unraveled. I didn't want to be a channeler. I wasn't like, I'm now going to be a channeler. Like it just was like, go close your eyes and start meditating. And then I would hear these voices that were definitely not in me. Right? It was like, this is coming from something outside of me trying to communicate to me.
Wow.
And so that's how it started.
What was your family like when you were so young and you were so had this like such awareness? How did your family respond?
Well, my mom was really awake. She was the one that, I mean, she was the one that kind of taught me everything. She took me to
Oh,
these
wow.
seminars when I was really young. We would go to these seminars where we would watch all of this. We would be experiencing like channelers that were channeling things about us, or we would be watching these like how did JFK really die? And I mean, I'm 13 years old. I just had a slumber party with my friends watching Golden Girls, and now like 3 days later, I'm sitting in front of this guy and this was back in the 80s, so it wasn't super, not a lot of people were doing this work, not a lot of kids were doing this. So when I would speak to my dad about it, or my brother, they always thought I was just crazy. So it just was something, and my friends at school, they just thought I was crazy, but I was okay being looked at as crazy. It was sort of just like, well, there's Lorie talking about, aliens and whatever. It was like, the world's going to end and all this stuff that I would talk about. But it was just sort of accepted that this was just, there were definitely two sides of me. It was the side of me that was just ignorant and just being the human, and the side of me that really understood everything and would go on these retreats with my mom and these seminars for the weeks. And I would be reading all kinds of books, uh, books that people are reading now, I'd be reading at school. So there was always these two sides of me. But I was okay with people thinking I was nuts. I still am, people don't think I'm as crazy as I was back then, but yeah, it was my mom. If I didn't have my mom as my mom, I don't know if I would be where I am.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even back then, I mean, consciousness has come so far, like awareness, human consciousness has come so far, even in the last 10, 15 years, even in the last 5 years. We're just, and with COVID, like we're just transforming and elevating at such a rapid rate. And when you were saying like the books back in the 80s, so I thought about this one book that I have from a used bookstore called Psychic Energy and Self-Defense. And the way that it's written, it sounds like very, very out there, but even like in now, because now, I don't know, I guess we couch things, we phrase things differently, but it's
Yeah.
probably that was in the around those books, because I
Yeah.
think it was a biggie back then.
It probably was. I don't remember reading that one, but I read a lot of them. I read a lot of books back then. I just devoured the information, and now I don't read anything, but yeah, it's interesting. I love, everyone's like, how do you know we're evolving? And it's like, dude, just look at where we were 40 years ago, 30 years ago, 20
Right.
years ago. And look where we are now. It's so blatantly obvious that we are evolving. And then it's sort of like, well, what does that mean, Lorie, that we're evolving? And it means, well, we're stepping out of ways of being, ways of experiencing the world, behaviors, thoughts, beliefs, and we're stepping into new ways of being. And these new ways are in higher frequencies. So they're experienced differently. And so that's what we're doing right now. We're learning how to pull ourselves out of ways of being on this planet that we're not designed to be in. We're designed to move through them and um, into ways of being that are more empowering, less victim, more flow, less stagnation, right? More peace, less fear. And that's what's so beautiful about this planet, is that duality, that there
So
is the
beautiful. Even
fear.
as you speak, I can feel the vibrations of those words that you were saying, less fear, more peace, less greed, more heart, more compassion, more giving. It's so beautiful just to speak with you. I can feel the vibration and the energy of your soul and your coming through. But we
Yeah.
have a few questions from a number of people about your book. I just ordered your book. Where can I get your book? So I wanted to ask you a little bit about your book, The Divine Design, which was released yesterday, and it's available, as I think you mentioned, on Amazon and probably on a lot of other platforms as well. But what can you tell us about it? You and I had spoken briefly about this idea of the lenses, and some of the information that you wanted to pass through the book.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. The book came in 2018, and the world is a very different place now. And it's interesting because in 2018, when the book came through, the book is about how we got here. How did the human become? How did we land? How did this happen? Why is there an Earth? Where did Earth come from? A lot of people, there's a lot of different belief systems. And so this divine design is another way of looking at how we got here. And this belief that we started in a much higher frequency. We started as humans and Earth in a fifth dimensional realm, in a fifth dimensional awareness. And how did we get ourselves into this much lower frequency, much lower dimensional field? And how are we moving ourselves back up to that higher frequency and that higher dimensional field? And what happened in between all of that? It's millions of years that are kind of squeezed into 280 pages. And it talks about the physical body a lot, and why it's designed the way it is. How do we understand emotion and thought and beliefs, and how do we move them through the body, through the channel? Why do we have the chakra systems? Why do we have those energy systems? Right? Why do we have trauma? Why do we have contracts with humans? And how do we choose our families? Do we not? And why do we do that? So it really depicts, it talks about the DNA and how the DNA is shifting. And there's a lot that it talks about, but the purpose of the book, the reason it came through, and the beauty of it being here right now is, first of all, there's so many more humans that are ready to hear it or read it. But it's a remembrance. It's kind of like you're going to open the book and you're going to read your story. Like, oh my God, this is the story of us. This is the story of how we got here, and I forgot. And oh my God, there's people will start to read it and they'll just start crying, and they don't know why they're crying. It's because you're remembering, and you don't even realize that you forgot, right? So it's this really powerful, deep remembrance that happens on a cellular level, and that's why I didn't stop. I really wanted to stop writing this book many times. It broke me. It really broke me. But I pushed through because I knew that it wasn't about me. I knew that this was a book that humanity would be reading for many years to come. Um, and the people that have read it, they read it, they finish it, and then they read it again. And it's like, how many times have you read the book? They're like 4 times. I'm like, holy shit. So it's like this constant activation and remembrance that allows you to sort of start to move through your human journey with a little bit more ease and grace, because you start to remember um, that you're okay, that there's this, it's kind of like what a religion does, right? The reason people love religion so much is that it allows them to see that there is a bigger picture, that there is something else kind of holding them or assisting them. And this book is sort of our a tool for us to remind us of our story. That's the best way that I can describe it. And um, it's either going to resonate or not resonate, but it's the perfect time. You know, I was told by my guides, it's pretty interesting what they told me. Like 3 weeks ago, they said, "All right, Lorie, so this book is millions will read it, but it's not going to have the impact it's designed to have until like 30 years from now." And I was like, excuse me? What?
Yeah. Hold on a second. After all of that, wait. I've ghostwritten books and worked on books. And when you said like it's a labor, it really is. It's like birthing something through your consciousness. And sometimes it can feel so heavy because every waking moment, even if you're not working on it, you feel it right here energetically until it comes through you. So I can definitely relate. And you know, it takes a lot to complete a book. So first of all, congratulations and kudos, but also, you know, I could relate with what you were saying, and I hope that maybe that will get turned, and the 30 years will turn into 30 days.
I know.
Because
It's like, come on, you
why
guys,
not?
30 years.
Right?
Yeah, why not? Exactly. Exactly. Why not? You know? So yeah, I'm holding and it's interesting. The way I live my life is always being tested by everything, including this book, where it's like, I'm not in control, you know, and the less I try to control things, the less I find myself in suffering or struggle. So, which means that I have to let go of any sort of attached desire that I have while I still recognize that desire. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
would I love for this insane book to be in the New York Times bestseller and just shatter everyone's beliefs and illusions around what the human consciousness is able to hold right now? Hell yeah. Like, it would be unreal if this book showed humanity where they're actually at in their state of awareness, right? But can I let that go and let the book drive itself? Yes.
Right.
And I think that is what we're being asked in our life in general, right?
Yeah. Anyway, books usually have it's like its own entity. After it's like you're working with an entity when you're bringing it through, and then it's like it has a life of its own.
Yeah, it
And all the
does.
souls that it's going to touch. And already I'm seeing, you know, people who were, I see you in the comments who are saying, you know, I was reading it, I cried several times while they were reading it, you know, and what you were saying about the power of kind of like each one of us at any moment in time, we have different struggles. Maybe, you know, we hold a lot of trauma, a lot of, you know, I also have studied theta healing, and we talk about how you know, all these energetic imprints that we pick up from the time we're little. So anytime, like at any moment in time, we can have so much going on, so many challenges. So then to come up across a book and a vibration like that can just kind of melt some of that and bring you into a higher awareness of your current state is such a blessing. So may this book be such a blessing for many people.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely outside of language. You know what I mean? Like, it's words and it's written, but it's deeper than that. Um, it's deeper than that. So, hands off the
I
wheel.
have a random question about your guides. Like, as
Yeah.
you were speaking about that, do you know them by, like, do you know how many you have? How do you, I'm
Yeah.
so interested.
Yeah. Yeah. So, it's interesting because when I first started channeling back in 2018, no, I'm sorry, not 2018, 2016. These beings came in that were they were like fifth dimensional beings, right? And they were formed, they had form. And they actually were from like inner earth. So they were in these like in this like inner earth sort of realm dimension. But they were definitely I didn't see them physically like a cup, okay? But when I closed my eyes, they would be standing in front of me on an energetic level. So it's almost like when you use your imagination, right? Everything is energy. And if you're capable of sort of seeing that energy, you'll start to see more of a form. But I think that it can be very deceptive when people say, I saw these beings, and it's like, well, you didn't, they're not actually physical. Most higher dimensional beings can't actually physically present themselves. So it's this weird illusion, right? But they were more of a fifth dimensional frequency, and I would start seeing them and connecting with them, and they would show me things. And that's basically where how it started. And then I would be doing these sessions with people, and these really high frequency light beings would come in, and they would enter into the space, and they'd be behind the human's field. And I'm like, I would tap into the energy, and I would be able to dissect the energy, like, oh, that's a Palladian energy, or that's an Arcturian energy, or so I would play with the energy of it. But it wasn't until 2018, when I was in Machu Picchu, when the book was downloaded, that I connected to my guides, which are the ones that are always around me, that are very much out. It's very much an external voice. And my guides and the ones that downloaded this book they're from the Galactic Federation of Light. And I had never really, I'd heard of that in 2018, but I never really did much. I didn't know anything about these beings and any of that. And there's 12 of them that I connect with. And they are, the best way that I could describe it is, there's one specific one that's always kind of leading and connecting with me. And if I close my eyes and connect from this internal lens, I can see there's a more of like a physical form, but it's very light. It's a very light form. And they're not the friendliest, meaning like they're very serious. It's very much like, this is what you're doing, this is what's next, this is, you've got this, you're great. But it's not like other energies where you kind of are like held in love and cradled, and it feels very much like I'm in a classroom, and my teacher's standing there with a whiteboard, and it's like, this is what.
It's like, it's
Oh,
like
really?
the like, noises in his little flat.
That's like they're very, this one is more of a male frequency, and it's and even when I pull them in, it's interesting. It's very much like I'm in school. It's like, what's next? What am I doing next? Or how am I serving today? And what do I need to do to serve today? And how do I need to get my body ready to do this class? And so it's less of like, Lorie, you're amazing, we love you, and more of like, this is what you're doing. And it always comes from outside of me. Sometimes during my days it'll be loud, but most of the time it's very quiet. They leave me alone. They're not around a lot. But if I bring them in, like right now, if I connect to them, I can literally just right here kind of bring them into the space, because they're always there. Our guides are always there with us. It's just the awareness of like kind of connecting to something outside of yourself, and bringing it in. But more than listening to my guides, I usually listen to me. I usually listen to my inner guidance, my knowingness. That's really how you navigate the human journey, is because they'll say whatever they want to say, but it's like, dude, you're not in the human, you don't know what it's like to be here. Like, zip your mouth right now. Like, I'm the one that has to do this. So what's more important than connecting to guides is is connecting to your own internal compass and your resonance, your knowingness. You know what I mean?
100%. Like I had a spiritual teacher for many years, and she was here in the physical, and then she actually crossed over in 2020 and transitioned, and I was with her then. And the thing was, is as a spiritual guide, it's kind of like she was there, and you felt this energy and this support, energetic support, to do my spiritual work, essentially, to go through those processes that are internal that help us to elevate. But it's like I understood from her, and it's actually something that she spoke about often, is that you don't want to take away, you can't take away somebody's process, because each one of us, like, it's kind of like you're denying the power of that soul, because each one of us has so much power inside of us to go through our own process and to go through our challenges and to find and be resourceful and find what we need, because inevitably that's how we become strong, and that's how we grow, and that's how we, become the shiny being, like, for example, how you are now influencing so many people. I'm sure that your road wasn't always easy, but that you were able to overcome those challenges inside.
Yeah, it's so true, because at the end of the day, we have to navigate this. We have to empower ourselves. We have to choose. I think a lot of times we outsource. And so we're outsourcing to our guides, we're outsourcing to people, we're outsourcing to relationships, meaning that we are needing something outside of ourselves to get through our journey. And the key is to understand that those are tools, your partner, your friends, teachers, books. These are all tools that are great. We need tools. But if we are outsourcing, like we have to have that in order to be able to do this, then we're going to be in a lot of trouble, right? Because it's about coming back in and learning how to trust yourself before anyone else, right?
Totally.
Trust your voice, trust your feelings, trust you before the rest of the world. And even your guides, like, listen, my guides will tell me to do things and I'm like, zip it.
Yeah. Or you pull out the tarot and you get like, and then you're like, but sometimes recently, like, it hasn't even been really working for me, because that's really, the universe is like, nope, stop trying to outsource. Nope, don't try to or outsource. Get quiet with yourself. You have so much power inside of you to pull in different energies that you need, to pull in the trust and the certainty that you need to move forward. And I'm just like, feel like it's funny, you're totally channeling this. It's been a big part of my process recently. And I think a lot of people,
it's the awareness of it, though, right? And laugh at yourself. It's like, oh, yep, I'm looking for the psychic. I'm looking for the tarot. I'm looking for, like, tell me. And then there's this internal voice like, are you going to stop? Are you going to stop looking out? Because you're not going to find it. You're going to continue to search, right? There's going to be this almost like this emptiness. Like, maybe there's a fleeting moment of relief because you got some sort of answer, but that's fleeting. It doesn't last long anymore.
Until you really find it for yourself.
Yeah.
But by the way, I'm not knocking, because I've had a lot of people in the cosmic chats who are tarot readers, but not fortune tellers. They're helping people recognize their subconscious patterns. And that is super powerful. Or healers who can read your energy field and help you to feel, oh, this pain in my back rib, it's been there since this time. And, of course, we're here to help each other. But I think that what you're saying is not to, like, give up our power or abdicate our own power, like just kind of being a little bit like spiritually lazy in a way.
Yeah, for sure. Because I love freaking looking at my, like, what's going on energetically, like my sign, and 1000%. But it's different between a need, like an attachment and a need for it, as opposed to a tool that it's assisting me, right? Like when you call a friend and you're like, dude, I just need you to help me process this, right? It's the same sort of thing. Everybody's here to assist each other with whatever tools that they have. And we are here to remember that at the end of the day, if you are not aware of the fact that the buck stops with you, right? Like, you are the one choosing. You're the one deciding. If somebody tells you something, is that what you are choosing? Does it resonate with you? Does it feel right to you? That's truly what we are learning, that it always comes back to the buck stops with me, with everything. And that's true empowerment, you know?
Totally. It's such a powerful way to show up in the world because otherwise we're just reacting to the world. We're reacting to somebody else's, and not necessarily is that true. That person has their own opinions and their own traumas and their own whatever. I'm not saying, again, not to listen to somebody else or to have that, but I think that it starts inside. If I'm coming from a place where I'm empowered and I'm willing to, check in with myself, and I've developed a relationship with myself enough that I can, and my soul, and developed a relationship with my own soul and higher self enough, then from that empowered place, of course, the creator, the universe, whatever you call it, can speak to us through people, through this, through a movie even. Sometimes I
Yeah.
watch movies and I'm like, by the way, like
Yeah.
Passengers. I don't know if you've seen Passengers. It's a really good, it's kind of like an old, a little bit cheesy movie, but it's with Anne Hathaway. And it's just so powerful in terms of the idea that the universe sends you people to help you to elevate, and all of the things that happen in our lives, even the things like I told you, I went through a lot of loss in 2018 with my dad and my brother, but it's like inevitably those things that really happen, that really hurt us, or the person who, the relationship that ended and the person who left, inevitably they're messengers that are helping my own soul's evolution and growth. And that movie Passengers it's a little cheesy, but it's a great one if anybody
I've
wants.
never heard of it. I'm going to have to look it up. Passengers.
With Anne Hathaway, yeah.
I'm going to make a note. Yeah, I love when movies come on and you're like, got it. Got
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. That was
Yeah.
kind of the message that came through that one for me.
Yeah.
So, wow, this has been such a phenomenal conversation. And I wanted just to ask you a little bit. I know you talk a lot, and we've kind of touched on it a little bit here, but you talk about this idea of the observer, right? So can you just open that a little bit for, the people listening on right now and what that means? Because I feel like that's a concept that somebody could take with them right now and could change their life right now in this moment, just to see things in a different way. And so
Yeah. The observer has been something that I just started practicing. It was necessary, and it's something that just naturally started happening with me, where I started watching myself. I started being aware, and I think it had a lot to do with my guides kind of showing me, are you aware of what you're thinking? Are you aware of what you're feeling? Are you aware that you're not any of this? So there was, I think it kind of started from my guides, and then I started to become aware of this part of me that's the observer. And the way I like to describe it is, it's like you are experiencing your day. So you're experiencing your emotions, like even right now, right? There is one aspect of us that is present and having this exchange. And simultaneously, there is an aspect of me that is aware that I'm doing this, kind of watching me. You're doing an Instagram live, you're talking right now. And so it's simultaneous. It's not split. It's not one or the other. It's impossible. It's impossible to be one or the other. It's all of it. And so that's the challenge, is like, okay, I just got in a fight with my mother. What typically happens is that we are in the fight. We're in the experience of it. We are the experience. We're the emotion. We're angry. We're upset with our moms. We want to scream. We want to call a friend and talk about it.
right.
Okay. When you become the observer simultaneously, you are beginning to see, oh my God, the observer says, Lorie just got in a fight with my mom, or whoever, right? The observer says, Lorie is upset. Like, I am now in a fight with my mom. I am now really upset. I do not know how to regulate my emotions. I want to scream. I want to now identify as that pain. I want to identify, I'm trying to identify, I want to be the victim right now. You're watching yourself while you're in it. And it can be as simple as like when you start practicing it, it's like, oh, I'm now waking up. You know, okay, now I'm going to go get my coffee. Now I am choosing to focus on these thoughts. Oh, now I am playing the victim. So you're constantly pulling yourself out of the illusion that you are the experience.
Like now I'm experiencing, no, I mean, not right now, but like something that somebody might be experiencing would be like, now I'm experiencing anxiety or fear. You know, I think that this area is a lot of people have been dealing with that recently. You feel this kind of tightness in your chest, right? Or in your solar plexus. So you can, what you're saying is that you just kind of recognize, okay, now I'm feeling a little fear, I'm feeling a little anxiety, rather than being the fear or the anxiety.
Yeah, it's like you're either in the drain, swirling around in it, and you can't even see straight because you think that you are it. So you get caught up in the experience. Like, why is this happening? I can't believe I'm feeling this again. Well, I'm so stupid. I want to scream. I want out of this. I hate my job, blah, 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 right? You're in the drain, swirling in it, right? It's impossible to become the observer. So you want to pull yourself out of the drain and say, oh, wow, look at what I'm doing. Oh, my God, look at what I'm thinking. Oh, my God, look at what I'm feeling, right? You're watching yourself in the drain, which pulls you out of the drain. Yet you're still experiencing. See, that the thing about it is you're not bypassing, you're not taking yourself out of the experience. Right. You start to detach from it, which allows you to stop judging yourself, which allows you to feel safe experiencing things. The moment you stop attaching to this idea that you are any of it, is the moment that you start to recognize that you are actually safe to feel it. And then when you realize that you're safe to feel it, you stop trying to change it. You stop trying to fix it or get out of it. And then what happens? You move into a flow state. And when you move into a flow state, then the universe starts to wow you, because you're now letting go of trying to control anything, because you realize that you're none of it. Everything that's happening is happening for you. It's happening in order to show you what you do and how you react and the trauma and the triggers. Wow. And the moment you just allow it to move through you, you start to move through it, and then things start moving. And then you're just like, holy shiitake mushrooms, I'm not in suffering anymore. Because the state of suffering is that you're attaching to what you're experiencing. Right. You believe that you're it. Then you just anchor it.
And you just anchor it. And you keep that vibration. It's so powerful. I remember when I was at my dad's bedside when he was leaving this world, and I was it was probably the greatest kind of like internal stress, fear in this life. And then I kind of like I had this thought that was like, probably I've sat by this bedside as, you know, with him, with this kind of suffering in another life. Or I thought about like, just like these movies, and I imagined like myself, like, you know, in like a different, like I got this vision. I was like in a different dress of a different time, and I was with my father at his bedside, and of course I was devastated, and I was so sad. And almost just to see myself, like, just to like see it from that other perspective, it alleviated me. It took me out of this like immense pressure, because it was like, maybe he's gonna live, maybe we're gonna get him the liver, maybe, you know, it was like all of this, like so much, like you said, I was in the dream, but just like thinking like, oh, maybe I've been here before, and okay, right now I'm a girl who loves her dad, and she's at his bedside, and he's leaving the world, so she's naturally upset, like in turmoil. And just seeing like a story like that really helps. So
yeah, exactly. You start to see it as a movie, truly. Yeah. You start watching your life. But the crazy thing is that you're still feeling everything.
Exactly. It's not like I was checking out. I mean, I was crying, I was upset, I was with him. Actually, it allowed me to be more present in those last moments, and to really be there and to show up. Actually, I was upset and I was crying, but all even that didn't overtake. I guess in those very heightened kind of spiritual moments, you have your higher self anyway steps through in a way.
Yeah. And I always see the higher self as part of the observer. Um, like it's all okay. You're okay. You don't need to judge. You don't need to attach. I have judgments all the time. I have attachments, right? So it's not like, it's just how can you practice detaching? Can you practice? I mean, I don't find myself judging what I'm feeling very much anymore. That doesn't mean I don't like it.
Right.
Like yesterday morning when I woke up feeling like I was the most horrific writer on the planet and my book was coming out, I didn't beat myself up. I wasn't like, I can't believe you're feeling this, Lorie. You're a horrible person.
Right.
I just was feeling the feeling of being a horrible writer and allowing myself as the observer to feel that.
Right.
So it's very different. It's weird. I didn't identify as a horrible writer, but I was allowing myself to feel that feeling of being a horrible writer. So so there was no judgment to it, but I was still feeling it.
Right.
But because I didn't identify as what I was feeling, I knew that it would pass. Does that make sense?
Totally. And I
Yeah.
think that right now the words that you're saying are helping like so many artists and writers out there, because I think that's something that a lot of any creative deals with. You get that like feeling like, oh wait, what if it, like whatever the feeling is, that I'm not good enough, or this is not good, or what I have to present. And so I think that your words are just like really helpful for any creative out there who's on social media, writing, painting, etc. Even
Yeah.
for me, it's so powerful that you're being vulnerable and sharing your experience.
I think it's so important to call it out and to recognize it, to make it okay. Because
Yeah.
in my opinion, so many of us have stopped our highest potential. We've stopped our creations. We haven't opened the ceiling and said, I'm just going to let it go, because we have that internal voice that says you suck. That we have that internal voice that says this sucks. We have the
Right.
internal voice that says no one's going to listen, no one's going to read it, no one's going to care. It is horrific.
Right.
And we allow that voice to stop us, and then the potential of what we're here to do is watered down. And I don't know, the voice was really loud. It's loud. It's very, very loud. And so I have a choice. I didn't have a choice. I had the choice of no choice, which is like, Lorie, this book's going out no matter what. So I basically had to just have temper tantrums. But if you allow yourself to push through, like literally, like torturously push through
Right.
and do it anyway, no matter what,
Right.
then you break through those limiting beliefs. You break through that ceiling.
Totally. And I also believe that when something very powerful needs to come to the world, that's going to bring a lot of energy and a lot of light. There are forces that will try to stop it, and they may come in the voice of that doubt, you know, because
Am
there
I
are.
frozen?
I think some people said, but now I think that was before.
Okay.
For me, you weren't frozen.
Oh, good. Okay.
The people who were watching are the ones who really. But I think, is it still frozen?
You look fine. I look fine, but
So anyway, yeah, I believe that when something really powerful needs to come to the world, there are forces. And anytime we try to do something good, there's always going to be that voice that's going to be like, "Do you really need to do that? Do, do you really owe that person that?" Any sort of giving, any sort of like good deed or light that is going to come. I always think that there's that force that's going to challenge us in this realm, in this
absolutely.
realm, because that's part of our work here is to keep going anyway. And then we get so much more energy. I mean, probably on the other side, there is no challenge like that. Everything is complete peace. You think of thought and love and there is no need for, like, it's kind of like those, the negativity gives us a chance to become who we need to be. Kind of like playing a basketball game. If you don't have an opponent, you're not going to become like Michael Jordan.
Exactly. That's what's so great about remembering what a gift this human journey is
Yeah.
starting to see the illusion.
Right.
And it's not easy, but
Right.
the more we practice pushing through the fears, pushing through the resistance, pushing through the powerful insecure thoughts that come in. And the way that you push through it is you got to be honest. You got to say, this is how I'm feeling. This is what I'm thinking. You got to be honest about it. That's the first thing. And then you got to feel it. That's the second thing. And then you got to recognize that it's not true.
Right.
You got to choose. Are you going to choose to continue to believe it? Or
Right.
are you gonna bow to it and be like, dude, you're badass. That you're a loud, loud, loud voice. And
Right.
I'm giving you credit for that. Now what do I need to do to move through it? For me, I had to call my brother, I had to call my friends, and it was just like, hey, can you remind me again um, that this isn't true? Can you remind me? I remember 2 nights ago when I told my brother, that I'm pretty sure this book sucks and is written by a kindergartner. And, these things look horrible and it doesn't, all these things I was critiquing. And he goes, well, he's a huge Howard Stern fan, so take it or leave it, whatever. But he was like,
Oh my gosh, I haven't thought of Howard Stern in like such a long time, but he used to be on the radio on Kiss 108, I think, in Boston.
it's so random. But anyway, he was like, Lorie, when Howard Stern was writing his third book, he was talking about how difficult and challenging and all the back and forth he had to do and all these things, right? And for some reason I was like, oh, I'm not crazy. This is normal. This is
Normal.
normal. And to be able to let other people realize that these things are normal, it's normal to feel this way, then that it helps us to accept it, to surrender to it.
Totally. Apparently, so people were saying that you're actually it was frozen, but it was more like a rainbow aura as you were speaking, which is really interesting.
Dude, it's been happening when I went live about an hour and a half ago. I never freeze. I never, like, my Instagram's always good. I'm on like really good connection, and it was freezing. It was doing all kinds of weird stuff. So, who knows?
Crazy. It's
Yeah.
probably some. You were talking about the book, so maybe it's some of the vibes from the book coming through.
Yeah, it's gotta be because, it's never happened before. So yeah, it's really interesting.
So, Lorie, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you here on the Cosmic Chats. I was wondering if there's any final message that you feel is coming through for anybody who is watching this now or anybody who will watch it in the future. Is there something that you feel to share?
Yeah, I mean, I think right now, um, the more that we can allow ourselves to be present with what is arising with us, right? To be present with what we're feeling, um, to allow ourselves to feel it, to be the observer of what we're feeling, and to remember that everything, every single thing that you are experiencing, you're moving through. So there's movement all the time. You are not stuck or stagnant in anything. And so trying to hold that in your awareness. I'm safe to feel everything. I'm going to observe myself as I'm feeling it. And everything that I'm in is movement. Everything I'm experiencing, I am moving through. And those three things will literally shift your life. It will slowly start to shift your life. Feel everything, because everything that's arising in front of you is an opportunity. observe it if you can. I'm feeling this, I'm feeling this, I'm feeling this. And then remember that you're moving through it all. There's movement. There's always, I am moving through a horrible job. You know, I am moving through depression. I am moving through grief. I'm moving. And it will help you actually move through it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So beautiful. And just sending that energy out to anyone who is in that depression or that grief, because those energies are feel particularly frozen.
Yeah.
Just sending
Yeah.
the light from this conversation, because I feel like there's just such a beautiful energy here with us.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
Wow, it's powerful. Thank you so much. And I wanted to let everybody know that Lorie is going to be having a retreat, right? A retreat coming up November 4th, 5th, and 6th. And where is it going to be?
It's going to be in Sedona. And we're still confirming all
Another
the, what was that?
Another portal.
Yeah. So we're confirming all the details. So it'll be by the end of this month, we'll have all the details and you can purchase your ticket. It'll be virtual and in person. So yeah, November 4th, 5th, and 6th. And then I'm going to be in person doing a book signing September 17th in Santa Monica. And the details are on my website as well. So that'll be a lot of fun.
Oh, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Anybody in LA area?
Yeah.
If I'm in town, I will love to be there.
Oh, do you live in LA?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, if you're in town, come by.
Yeah, I would totally love to. And you're also in California, right?
Yeah, Northern California. Yeah.
And did you grow up in California also?
I grew up in Hermosa Beach.
Ah, okay. I was gonna say, because your mom was so into that kind of stuff. It's like, I know that back then it was like California was more fertile, even now today, for this kind of spiritual consciousness.
Yeah, my mom used to go to back in the 80s, she used to go over to Louise Hay's house and they would have like I know, I was like in awe. I was like, what? She's like, yeah,
I'm a huge Louise Hay fan.
I know.
Oh my
She's
gosh.
like, back in the 80s, Louise Hay would have these groups every week and we'd all go over to her house and we'd sit in a circle and talk. And I was like, what? That's so cool. God. Yeah.
Well,
so yeah.
Crazy. That my spiritual teacher, her name was Karen Berg. She was actually the founder and director of the Kabbalah Center, but she always loved Louise Hay too.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting how we're all connecting these different stories, you know?
Yeah.
She knew her personally.
Yeah.
And did you get to meet her, or?
No. That would have been cool.
Only a thought, and a thought can be changed. Thank you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, thank you again so much. It's been my complete honor and joy to spend and to be able to interview you. And thank you so much to everybody who joined, and wishing you a lot of love and light and peace on your way.
Thanks, Debbie. Thanks for having me. And thank you guys for joining and for watching this live or on the replay. We're doing it.
We're doing it.
We're doing it.
And all the blessings for your book.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Appreciate that. Thanks.